Hi there, I'm Ganesh Babu R. So I'm on my way to complete my GRIP internship program under the Sparks Foundation for the month July 21. So I'm basically working on the detection of face mask, which is under the computer vision and IoT. So here I'm going to present you my internship work. So we are at the code. So I have already added my code and the required libraries with the specifications into my GitHub repository. I will drop my GitHub repository link in the description. So basically there are two set of codes. The first code is this part, so where it is used for the training of the model, where the second code is used to make use of the model which is trained, that is it begins from here. It makes use of the model that is being trained in order to detect the face mask. So let us start with the explanation of the code. So firstly we are trying to install the required libraries of the specific versions. So the list of the libraries with the specifications is added to requirement.txt file in my repository. So let us start with the code which is used to train the model. So firstly we are installing all the required modules from the library we just installed. So there are three parameters here. So first one is the initial learning. Make sure that initial learning is as low as possible, because uh, as low as the initial learning is, the less will be the loss and greater will be the accuracy. And epochs and batch size is taken to be 20 and 32. These are all not the fixed value, so they can be altered as per the requirements. So we have taken two variables. The first one is the directory. So directory holds the path to the dataset folder. So dataset link is being provided in my repository. You can download the dataset and you can make use of the same dataset while executing the code. So the second one is the categories. So basically data set consists of two subfolders, with mask and without mask. So I have just given the name of the folders with mask and without mask here. They themselves don't represent the folder, but they are just the name of the subfolders. So this is required because in order to get the path of these subfolders, these are required. So print statement here is to keep track of the program. So we have taken two variables, data and labels, which is the empty list for the timing. Later on we are going to store the images in the form of array in data, while the corresponding categories of the image which is being stored in the data in the labels. So here is a for loop. So this part of code is responsible to append the image from the subfolder by accessing the locations of the subfolder. So this for loop here is looping with the variable called categories. That is, it can only iterate for two times, with mask and without mask. So for the first iteration the value of category will be with mask, for the second it is going to be without mask. So for the values of category and the directory, which is the dataset location, we are creating a path in order to access the files which is present in the subfolder, that is the category. So once we are generating a path, we are passing it through the os.list dir. Basically os.list dir generates the list of the folders which are present inside the location or the path which is passed as a parameter to them. So we have taken a variable img in order to access the individual images which is present in the path. So once we are getting the image, we are passing it through os.path.join again. This is because in order to get the path of the image, that is the location of the image, so which is stored in a variable called image path. So in order to load the image, we need this image path. So image path is again passed as a parameter into load image. So here we have set the target size as 224 cross 224. Basically this represents the dimension of the image, that is the width of the image and the height of the image. So we have to convert the image into the numerical value. So in order to do that, we are making use of image to array function. We are passing the image, that is the image which has been loaded, into this function and storing back into the variable image itself. And the numerical value are not suitable for the model. So therefore, in order to make it suitable, we are passing it through the pre-process input, which makes it suitable to the model which we are going to use. So once the image values are made suitable, we are appending it into the list which we previously created, that is the data, and we are appending the category, that is with mask and without mask, into the list labels. So we have to remember one thing here, that so the images are present in list, not the arrays, and here the categories are still in the type string, that is with mask and without mask is still in the type string. We have not converted it into the suitable type so that it can be used for the model. So we are making use of a label binarizer. We are calling it as LB. So basically it is nothing but a transformer. So transformer is nothing but which performs data processing and feature transforming. So we have three functions when we are talking in terms of transformer. One is the fit function, another is the transform function, another is the fit transform function. So basically fit function is used in order to calculate for any particular formula. So here you can say it is the label binarizer. It just calculates. But in order to apply the calculated parameters to the required parameters, we need to apply the transform function. But here we are making use of fit transform function, which does both the work of fit and transform at the same time. Okay, once we are done with binarizing the labels, that means we have just converted the labels into the suitable format that is required for the model. So that was done by the label binarizer. Now once we are done with that, now we are going to use the categorical. So basically here we are converting it into a binary matrix. So that is what is happening here. Now anyhow they are list. So we know that for deep learning models we need arrays. So we are converting both data and labels into an array so that the model can be trained. So here we are making use of train test split. So basically we are here segregating the data in order to train and test. So we have taken train X, train Y, test X, test Y. So this is basically we are training for X, testing for X, training for Y, and testing for Y. So here we have kept the test size as 20%. That means 20% of the available data set will be allocated for the test size, and it is not necessary that the data which is used for test size might not be used for training purpose. It is random. So we have taken a random state as 42. So this doesn't matter basically. It is just a method of which they are segregating the data. It is the 42nd method. This part of the code is the image data generator, where you are generating different kind of images from the available data set. So this the application of this part of code is that whenever the data set is too small, you can make use of this. It basically changes some of the properties like rotation angle, zoom range, width shift range, and so on, to generate various images. So basically this here is helpful to identify or detect faces from all different kind of angles. So coming to the model creation. So basically there are two models here. The first model is the base model. The second is the head model. The output of the base model here we are passing it to the head model. So we will see what is the base model. So base model is created with the MobileNet with the help of MobileNet v2. So it is nothing but it was initially brought out by Google. So we are using that here because it is too faster in processing, and it very less parameters are there, and memory occupation is also too less. And the disadvantage of this is that since it has very less parameters, the accuracy also goes down with the same. So here we have kept the weights as ImageNet. That means it is the pre-trained or weights which we have from the pre-trained model. So and the include top is false. So basically include top is false. That means that we are not constructing any kind of fully connected CNN. So what is fully connected CNN is that, so there are several stages in the convolutional network, so where each nodes are connected to each other nodes which are furtherly placed, so which usually consumes lot of time when compared to other models. So therefore we have given here it as false, but we are rather interested in creating our own fully connected layer, and that is the head model. So we are passing the output of the base model to the head model, and we are scaling down the images to 7x7. We are flattening them, and then we are applying dense to them with the activation function called ReLU. So activation function is nothing but it makes use of the summed weighted inputs from the node into the activation of the node, or for the output for the specified input. So here we are making use of ReLU. So ReLU is used for linear model. So it basically it provides the output if the input is positive, or else it will provide the output as 0. So the next step is the dropout step, where the frequency is set to be 0.5. So here we are actually trying to prevent the overfitting which is happening here. So for every frequency of 0.5 our inputs will be set to 0, and this happens when our model is getting trained. So if suppose if our input has not been set to 0, we are scaling it up to 1 by 1 minus 0.5 such that the sum of all the inputs is unchanged. So next we are again passing it through the dense function, but this time the activation function is softmax. So it can be softmax or sigma function. This is because here basically softmax or sigma are all probabilistic in nature. So either they can be 0 to 1. They can take any value between 0 to 1. So which gives a clear idea on the accuracy and losses that has been taking place here. And since our output is of categorized as 2, that is with mask and without mask, we have given 2 here. So the next thing is we are calling the model function, where we have kept our input as the base model. We have kept the input as the base model. The input of the base model itself is being inputted to the model, where the output is the head model here. So we have just called the model function here. So once the model has been trained, we don't want the layers to be unfreezed all the time. So they shouldn't be getting updated all the time. So hence we are here freezing them, so that they are only updated during their training purpose and not all the time, and that too when they are trained first. Training purpose in the sense that too when they are only trained for the first time, and not all the time we need to change the layers of the network. So again we have used the print statement to track the flow of the execution. So now we are compiling our model. So in compilation there are two most important arguments. The first one is the optimizer, the second one is the loss. So loss is here. So optimizer and loss. So here we are making use of Adams algorithm for the optimization purpose. So basically the use for optimization is that it makes our model more effective, and it is more perfect to the realistic nature. And here we are passing the initial rate which we had initialized in the beginning of the code, that is 0.00004. So it should be as low as possible in order to get high accuracy. And we have kept the decay rate. So basically decay rate is the amount of delay, you can say, which can be caused to reduce this initial rate. So that makes the model more accurate. And the next is the loss, which the loss here which we are interested is on the binary cross entropy, which is also called as log loss. And here we are only interested with the matrix of accuracy, hence we are just tracking the accuracy. And now we are going to fit the model. Once the model has been constructed, we have to fit the model so that it is applicable, and then we are predicting the model whether the module is working or not. It is just a prediction which we are doing here, where we have kept the batch size as BS. So you can say it is the evaluation of the model which we have done. Here we are converting the PRID IDX into the argmax, that is we have taken here the largest predicted probability. So here we are printing the classification report. So you can see the classification report here which is being printed here. So you can see this is the report which we have printed it. And once it is done, once we have trained, once we have evaluated, once we have done all of this stuff, we are now saving our model in the format H file, and we are naming it as mask detector module. And these are the plot which we are plotting with the help of matplotlib library in order to know the track of the accuracy, loss, and value accuracy. So I have already trained the module. It had taken me around 1 hour to train the module. So this is the plot which we are able to receive as an output at the end of the execution of the first code, that is once the model is trained. So this is the second code which makes use of the model which we had trained now in order to detect the face from the live streaming video. So firstly we are importing the required modules. This is the definition of a function called detect and predict mask. So since that is a function definition, our program execution starts from here. That is, we have assigned the path of the .prototext and .cafe model to these two variables. We are making use of readnet from the deep neural networks in order to read those files, and we are assigning that into the face.net facenet. So basically whenever there is a pre-trained cafe model in OpenCV, we will have two things. One is the .prototext and another is the cafe model. So this consists of the architectures of the model. Well, cafe model is the what do you say, it is the pre-trained model, you can say. So most probably the cafe models are used for image classifications, image segment, image detection, and so on. So here we are trying to load the model which we had created previously. So we have given the same model name which we had previously saved it. So that has been assigned to masknet. Here we are trying to turn on the video stream. So with the index 0, that means if there are multiple cameras for the device, you can alter the index values. That is, if you want to turn on the second camera, you can change the index to 1. So next is the while loop. In the while loop, you are collecting the frames from the video stream. So, and you are going to resize it to 400, that is 400 pixels you can say, and you are calling detect and predict mask. So detect and predict mask definition is on the top, where the simple OpenCV operations are performed in order to detect the faces and their respective locations and convert them into a numerical array, and in order to resize them and pre-process them. So basically then we are making use of the model once after completing all the operations which I just told, in order to predict if the faces are present or no. So we are taking the locations and predicts as the two variable as a return parameter from the function, that is the location and predictions from the function. So once we get those two values, so simultaneously let me run the code. So once we get those two values, we are then passing, we are making use of them as a single zip tuple, so that we can detect the face and we can label it. So here you can see that we have given a label as mask and no mask. So this completely depends if mask is greater than without mask, and we have chosen the color as 255, that is red and green 255. This stands for BRG. So if mask is there, you will get green color. If mask is not there, you will get red color. So how do you show it as a pictorial representation is, you have here the rectangle function where you are passing the color, the frames and the locations. So you are passing these things in order to form the rectangle. So and in order to display the text and the percentage of the prediction, we have made use of put text. Okay, once these are done, we have to display the same. So we have to show the same. So we have used image show function to show the changes or the detection, and this continues until the key Q is pressed. So until the key Q is pressed, this continues, and once if the key Q is pressed, the loop has been broken out, and this stops the execution of the program with the stop function. That is, you are stopping the video stream. So the live video stream is turned on now. Now the frame is getting displayed. So since I'm not wearing a mask right now, so there is a red colored rectangular box which has a text like no mask with the percentage of prediction. Suppose if I wear a mask, so you can see that the red colored rectangular box around me has turned into green with a comment saying that I am wearing a mask, that is mask with 100% to 99% of prediction. So this frame continues to be on the screen until key Q is pressed. So I'm pressing the Q key now. So the frame is gone now. So this was all about my internship work. That was regarding the face mask detection. So I would like to thank the Spark Foundation, of course, for providing me such an opportunity to showcase my skills. So thank you all. Thank you.